2012. And if you remember my talk last time, I was talking about the water ring and moving into the age of the water spirit kind of.
Age of Aquarius, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, Gordon Brown made a mention the other day that by 2012, the people of the UK will have free swimming for all. No, I mean, I've never heard anything so sus in my life, given what I'd been researching at the time.
Yeah.
Like, never declaration of free swimming for everyone. I don't know what that insinuates, but.
Well, I mean, obviously that draws the mind towards the idea of global warming, increased water, and London submerged, halfway underwater or whatever. I don't know what.
I don't know what that brings up, to be honest, either. It's interesting though.
It's very interesting, and even the use of water, or if we look on global warming, that this is much about flooding, the ice melting. In a way, the symbolic message here is that our planet is entering the age of water, or age of Aquarius, because we're being drowned, in a way.
Definitely. I mean, that's the thing you always have to wonder about. For instance, with what I spoke about before, saying that the religion of the New World Order as such is going to be like a new religion based on spirituality, but obviously with a sun worship personified in man as sorts, like a new messiah.
Yeah.
And you've got to wonder, like, how does this supposed spiritual ascension go about? I mean, does it necessarily mean that we stay in this 3D material plane? I mean, it could be that the whole planet is suffered with a huge water chaos. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be the method of ascension. I don't know. It's an interesting thought, and obviously we don't really know what's going to happen as such.
So what you're saying is that whatever happens, even if that is manipulated, I mean, it still potentially means the same thing in the end, because we're going to go through that experience no matter what, and we're going to. Well, I mean, what I'm getting at, I guess, is that many people who look at what's going on say, okay, it's manipulated, this is all a fraud or whatever, but it might still be a way for the universe, if you will, to have us to have, to get us to have that experience.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I am under my personal kind of opinion on all of this is that there is evidence that this has been manipulated, but then there is evidence though that maybe it's not been manipulated. Maybe this information has just been kept from us, and they've known this information and they're just not willing to share it with us.
Yeah.
And for instance, like you look at what I was saying about Prince William, for instance, and him being the figurehead of this new religion. I mean, I have no idea how they could actually make it so that Prince William was born on the 21st of June.
I've heard about that, and I think that they went through some kind of. I know that there were planning involved in some way, and that they also tried to really. I don't know the technique or even the terminology behind this in English, but I know that there was some kind of technique involved into actually delaying or postponing, depending on how far Diana was in the pregnancy.
So it was planned, then, essentially, if that information's out there.
I think it was planned, yes, to get it on that date.
I've not looked into it that far, as his birth and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, maybe it can be done.
Exactly. And
that could lead me on to. I mean, would you like me to tell you about my findings today?
Yeah, do that, please. Go ahead.
Because obviously, I'd already stated that. The 2012 Olympics is the XXX Olympiad, and it's obviously the 30th Olympiad. And Prince William's birthday is the 21st of June, and on that day in 2012 he is 30, which is essentially XXX yet again. And basically, looking for a new bit of information to come on the show, I decided that I was going to try and crack this XXX code, if you like.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've I've dug something up quite interesting. Basically, X is derived from a Greek letter, which is chi.
Mm-hmm.
Chi is the 22nd letter of the Greek alphabet. Yeah. So 22 obviously could be 1111 if you wanted it to be like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you know anything about the history of Qi, obviously in Chinese and Japanese, it's Qi, which is essentially like Reiki, life force energy. It's a spirit. It's the name for spirit, the energy that moves the life of the planet, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so looking into this a bit further, on the Wikipedia page, you believe it, but there's a reference to Plato, and obviously Plato, we don't really know too much about him apart from he was an esoteric philosopher, and he refers to Qi or X. I mean, Qi does look like X; it's the same thing as the soul of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you've got here is the soul of the world. Translated in Latin is anima mundi. Well, sorry, that's the term for it, anima mundi. That's what Plato is referring to, which is the world soul, which is also Gaia. The Gaia Earth theory, the living Earth and Mother Goddess. And Gaia can be identified with Isis. So Plato refers to X as anima mundi, which is essentially identified with Isis. And then you can also look into X again, and it's used to abbreviate the name of Christ in Christmas. So you have Xmas when you're writing down Xmas.
Yeah.
And then so essentially what you've got there is you've got Isis, and you've got your sun figure or your Horus figure. You've got your I. If you want to try and attribute X to God or to the Father, in human genetics, the male creates the X chromosome.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So essentially, with the XXX, you've got the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
But it's all male then. It's all masculine, right?
Well, not really, not necessarily, because one of the X's is Isis, the Holy Spirit.
Oh yeah, okay. I see what you mean.
The same Isis can be identified with the angel Gabriel. Angel Gabriel identified with the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, yeah. So basically, you've got a trinity there in the words XXX itself. Then if you look into it even further, because obviously the Chinese equivalent of it is Qi, meaning X in Chinese and stuff. But the word, or the area of where the optic vision crosses over is the optic chiasm, which is obviously it got its name from the X because basically your eyesight crosses over and forms an X inside your brain.
Yeah.
But incidentally, where the where your two like lines of sight cross over is where the pineal gland resides. So basically, what you've got in the X as well is this connection to the pineal gland. The term for spirit, Chinese spirituality, and then you've got obviously your trinity as well. And obviously, your pineal gland's connected to your serotonin, melatonin, and DMT secretion, which is supposedly the spirit molecule.
X marks the spot, right?
X marks the spot in the human brain.
Wow, that's really interesting actually, and the vision is really interesting too. Actually, that it's a reverse, and even of course if you unfold or basically X in itself is an 11, but 2 ones crossed over,
Yeah. I mean, it's new research that for me today, so that's why I've struggled a bit in getting it across. But for instance, if you look at what people stereotypically do on a greetings card or a birthday card, they put 3 crosses at the bottom. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Yeah.
And then if you think about the word kiss itself, it's ki, which is derived from the same word spirit, and then 2 S's, which are snakes, like the DNA coil.
Of course, interesting.
So kiss, kiss, kiss. When everyone's doing that on their Christmas cards, I don't know what they're exactly doing. But,
exactly. No, that's very interesting, and this also a little bit goes back to the. I think it was Constantine, the Roman emperor, who developed the or saw rather the sign in the sky, the Chi Rho or the XP, in this sign Conquer. That's also connected with the X, of course.
Right. Okay, I'm not aware of that. But.
And it's it's a whole story behind the XP and even Windows XPs. There are a few researchers out there that goes into that.
There's bound to be something behind that one.
Yeah, exactly. They managed to conquer the entire market, as it were, almost on the operating system through XP, conquering in the sign.
Interestingly enough, talking about the what I was saying about the religion of the New World Order and utilising the chakras and everything, the Windows, the new version of Windows that they're working on, which they're probably due to release in 2012, is Windows 7. which is obviously significant to the 7 chakras as well.
That's interesting.
Talking about windows.
do you know if 7 is their the working name for it only?
They've not given it any other name apart from 7 at the moment.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I know the Vista was called like Longhorn or something in the beginning. It's pretty interesting too. XP was called Whistler or whatever it was, but
Whistler,
anyway, okay. So, you know, Fredrik brought me a few notes here. It's pretty interesting about the Berlin Olympics, 1936, the first kind of,
that's where the Olympic torch relay started, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They managed to televise it, I think, for the first time ever. There's a whole stuff involved there, the Nazis, fascist background to all of this, of course, is very interesting. And apparently...
Do you know what number games it was?
The 11th, of course.
Yeah, of course.
X1, exactly. So what do we make of this?
It gets stupid, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't get ridiculous.
It's incredible. No, it's very interesting. And let's see here. I did want to get into a little bit about the whole kind of Templar thing going on there, but let's see. But before we do that, I want to ask you a little bit about Zion. A few comments about this. Okay. That the biblical connection, if you will, the use of biblical terminology, the theme. If you looked at the site in London that they're pulling together. Why do you think it is that they always refer back to the Bible and the biblical theme all the time? Why do you think that's important for them?
Well, I mean, I personally think that the work with the Bible is essentially, if you want to call it, an esoteric book that essentially depicted the plan. I think it's one of those things, like everything, it has to be in plain sight for it to, really work. And that's all I can really attribute it with. I mean, I'm sure that the same people who are responsible for, the same force that's responsible for empowering these 2012 Olympics are the same force that was behind the Bible.
So it's a long
continuous line.
Right. And
I think it's been unbroken since the pyramid was built. To be honest, the Great Pyramid.
Are you talking about the bloodline or the power structure?
I think both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, I do personally think both. I think, if when you're taught history in school, you're always taught like the individual little sections of history and all these different events and stuff. But it's even mentioned in your stereotypical esoteric book where they're referring to how it works. Essentially, is that you have to view history as a whole, not as an individual, like separate parts.
Yeah.
If you view it as a whole, then you'll get an understanding for it.
Indeed, I totally agree. And I mean, continuing on that line, I just want to make a few comments regarding the whole Templar bloodline thing. We got into that a little bit, of course, in regards to that the when they potentially are producing or presenting this new Trinity, the new Holy Trinity with Prince William at the top, or King William. That they're also at the same time potentially are going to lay out this idea that the Windsors or this family line is the family line of Jesus. Then we get into the whole bloodline Templar story here. And
I mean, I think essentially it had to come through Diana, though. Was it something to do with the House of Stuart? I think that's where the essential bloodline crossover came from.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to, from what I gather, they wanted to, merge the Stuart bloodline into the Windsor bloodline.
Yeah. And with that merging, they get this. I mean, and again, you mentioned this the last time we talked that in many cases it's common throughout history also to merge different dynasties in order to, in some cases, gain bigger empires. I mean, Ralph Ellis has talked about this, and one example we can talk about. As a comparison to, let's say, Diana and Charleston would be actually like Cleopatra and Julius Caesar, one coming from the Egyptian dynasty and one from the Roman Empire. But when these two get together, the empire expands, it's become bigger, and it's accepted by